All right, let's look at creating your own watermark. Now, Lightroom has a watermark editor built right into it, so you can apply just a standard old watermark, or you can take your logo and use it. It's a little trickier. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's not hard, but it just takes a couple extra steps. To get to the watermarking, you do it at the export. So there's no sense in putting a watermark while you're looking at your photo. You're protecting yourself against stealing from yourself. So right, it only applies when you export. So go over to export. So this is the like save as. Sorry, click that, and it brings up the export window here. If you scroll down, you'll find an area called watermarking. It's off by default, so you'd have to turn on the checkbox. And then right here, there's simple watermark, but you want to be able to edit it. So it says what you want it to. So go choose edit watermarks, and it brings up the edit watermark editor that you see here. Or the, let's call it right, let's call it the right thing. The watermark editing window. It has an official name. Okay, down here is what it's going to say. So you can use the copyright symbol and write, copyright 2017, whatever you want. You can type it in there. Once it's there, you get to choose the typeface. You can go over here and choose different typefaces if you don't like that one. And by the way, nobody does. So you could choose a different typeface. You can choose its position by using this little anchor point here. So you can choose the top or the sides or whatever. And once you have it in a place, you can kind of offset it using the insets here. So you can see if you move the vertical one, it's going to move it up and down just a bit. You can move it horizontally this way. So you can kind of get it where you want it. It takes a little doing. You got to move it and mess with it a little bit, but you can pretty much get it where you want it. The opacity slider up here is going to determine how see-through it is. So if you want it to be very subtle or something, or if you just want to use it for branding instead of for straight up watermark, you just might go, Scott Kelby and photography. And by the way, that little line I put there is called a pipe. It is shift backslash, the key right under my delete key on my particular QWERTY keyboard, KWRTY, the regular standard QWERTY keyboard. And then that's basically the text, and now you can lower the opacity and put it wherever you like. That's just the standard text style. Now, if you have a logo, if your company has a logo and you want to put that on there instead, then go up here to the top and you can choose an image under image options. Let's go ahead and choose one. Let's click on, for example, this one. So this is your logo on a white background, standard stuff. We'll click OK, and that's exactly what you get, your logo on a white background. So let's just click on it, and you can see you can control the opacity. You can control the size and the scale of it. There is a little size slider, and probably don't want it maybe that big. That might be a bit much, but you might want to have it anchored to the center, and then if you're trying to protect your image, and then just lighten it up and choose the opacity you want, something like that, wherever you want it. Now, the problem with this is, of course, there's a big white box around your logo. If you don't want the big white box, there are a couple of options that you can do. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. That's going to require you using Photoshop to prep the file first, because what you really need is your logo, not with a white background. You need your logo with no background. Now, if I were you, I would create it two different ways. I would create one version of your logo with no background, with white letters. Then a version of your logo with no background, with black letters. So depending on the photo it goes over, it'll either be seen or not seen. For example, I saved one with a black background. All right, let's go choose it. And you'll see what happens on the particular photo we're looking at. Let's go choose this one. Well, actually, I have it right here. Here we go. Let's choose, not export one file. Let's go to the right place. Let's go over here to edit watermarks. I'm thinking that looks odd. Click here. We'll choose this one right here. So this is a black background with a black logo with a transparent background. So when I bring it in, let's try it again. It's nice, you don't even see it. There it is. It's hidden there somewhere. But you see how the logo, you can't even really see it. It's kind of If I lower the opacity, you can't even see the name of what it is. That's why I recommend saving two versions of your photo. One with a transparent, that's black with a transparent background, one that's white with a transparent background. Let's go do that. Let's jump over to Photoshop here, and here's the logo. And it's on a white background. You can see there's the logo shape. There's one line of text. There's the other line of text, all right? So to save it with a black background, all you do is go over here to the background layer, drag your background layer in the trash, delete it. Now, that little checkerboard represents transparency. So what it's saying is there is no background. It's just the text and the logo. It'll be a see-through background. That's nice. Save this in a file format that Lightroom can use, which you would save it as a PNG. So we go to Save As, and the file format you're going to use is PNG right there, and that will create the black logo with a transparent background. When you're done with that, let's make it a white background. So what we can do is let's merge these three layers together. 1, 2, 3. Select all three layers. I'm holding the Shift key. Select all three layers, and then to merge them together, all you have to do is press Command E on Mac or Control E on Windows. That merges them all into one layer. To make this white, all you have to do is use a keyboard shortcut. Command I on Mac or Control I on Windows. It inverts from white to from black to white. Now you've got the logo in white. Let's save a copy there too. File, Save As. We'll call it Denver Logo white. And then we're going to save it, of course, in PNG format. All right, save that. Now let's jump back over to Lightroom. Now I can go to the watermark to edit watermarks. I can go and choose the white version, and it will now appear very, very small in the corner in the right color. Here we go. So now when I fade it, you can see it still says Denver Wedding Memories. So that's how you would use a graphic, and that's how you would save those out so you can use them. And of course, there's some other options. If you did text, you can add a drop shadow. So if instead of this you went with a text logo, you do have, that might be a little large, just kind of guessing. You have the ability to add a shadow behind your letters. Doesn't much matter here in a dark background because the shadow just kind of blends in with the dark background. But if you're using a dark text on a lighter background, then the drop shadow really shows up. And it has the same standard stuff, the opacity of the shadow, how far away the shadow is from the text, the softness of the shadow, which in this case is crazy big, and the angle of the shadow. Those are all controlled right there. When you're done, you can hit save or go up to the top left corner and save your current settings as a new preset. When you get it looking the way you like it, like maybe you have one saved as white logo, one saved as black logo, one saved as text only, then you can open up this editor, go choose your favorite preset, click save, and then you apply it to one photo or all the photos you're exporting. You just do that right here inside of the window by choosing the one that was saved here. So you would see, instead of just simple watermark, you'd see white logo, black logo, whatever presets you saved would be used right there. You don't have to see that editor window again. That window's only necessary when you're actually customizing your watermark for the first time. So that's how you apply a watermark when you're exporting your images. All right, how to add your logo to Lightroom. So there's a couple different ways you can add your logo to Lightroom. You can add it to like the print module or the slideshow, so you can just have it on a page. We'll start there. But we're also going to look at how to customize the menu bar up top, so you can, instead of saying Lightroom CC like it does right up here in the left-hand corner, instead what you're going to see is your studio's name, which is a little trickier, but I'm going to show you how to do it. It's not hard. You'll be able to do it. Got to have Photoshop. Everybody's. That's just a sentence in itself. Got to have Photoshop. Should be the tweet of the day. All right, here we go. To get your logo in, all you have to do is, let's go over here to layout. I'm sorry, excuse me, we're going to go to page, and then you're going to turn on identity plate. That's just basically going to show your name on the print here somewhere, and you can't see it because it's just not anywhere that you could see it. So we want to be able to add our own identity plates. The way we do that is to click on this little thing here that says main identity plate and choose edit, and you're going to go, instead of using just a styled one, which is your name basically, which would be like Kelby Photography, right? That would be the standard text one. Let's just show you that just for fun. Make sure I type the name in right, spell the word photography wrong, and let's make sure that it is black text. There it is. You can hardly see it, but it's somewhere right there. There you go. Well, you can see that's probably not the most exciting way to describe things. So let's go to this little pop-up menu. We're going to choose edit, and instead we're going to use a graphical identity plate. All right, once we do that, we click on locate file, find the logo you're looking for, click choose. And you can see a little bit of it there. It's kind of right there, but you know that there's something there. So go ahead and click OK, and there's your logo. You've brought your logo in on a big white background. So if you want it over white, like at the bottom of a print or something, well, that's no problem. You can also scale it here. You can change the size of it. So if you think it's a bit too big, which that was a bit horsey looking, you can also change the opacity if you wanted it to be more of a gray or something like that. And again, if you put it over the image, of course, it can be transparent, or you can have that solid white background. What if you don't want any background at all? Well, in that case, that's when you would jump over to Photoshop and get rid of the background. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so we opened the logo here in Photoshop, and we need to select all that white area. We get the magic wand tool, and you click it on the white background. Now, once again, you can see it's missed inside of the D, inside of the O, inside of the P, and the A, and the G, and the O, and the O, and all this other stuff inside of here. So we use that trick where we go under the select menu and choose select similar. So I have white selected. Select every similar color that is white, and that is it. It selects every single thing. But it's selected every bit of white. So we need to go select inverse, so it selects the opposite. It selected the entire background. We want the opposite of that, the inverse of that, which is now the logo. And I would press Command J on Mac or Control J on Windows to put that up on its own separate layer. Now you would delete the background layer. And there you have the logo on its own layer on a transparent background. Let's save that in a format that will maintain the transparency in Lightroom. That just happens to be the format of PNG right there. Just choose PNG. We're going to save it Photo Logo Transparent and hit OK. And I usually use compression none. All right, and then we'll close it. So let's jump back over to Lightroom, and let's bring in the transparent version of this logo. Go back to your identity plate, choose Edit. We're going to clear the image that's there, and then we're going to go locate our brand new one called Photo Logo Transparent. And when we bring that in and click OK, now we get the nice transparent logo, no more white behind it, so you can have it overlap if you want, or whatever you want. Yeah, I wouldn't. That's stupid. Anyway, there we go. So that's how you get that in here. Now, that is one way to use the identity plate, which is to be able to add it to your images, and you can add it to slideshows and other places. You can add an identity plate. But what about customizing Lightroom's interface? Like right up in here, where it says, in my case, Adobe Lightroom CC, you can put your studio's name, you can put other things there. The problem is, if you look at the Anderson Photography logo, it's, number one, it's black. So you're going to have black text over a black background. Number two, it's a very tiny little thin area. So you can even kind of see, look, this logo, is it going to fit even small? It's going to, look how small you would have to make it, right? To make it fit in that little tiny black bar. That's not going to happen. That's a bad scene. So let's go back to Photoshop. We're going to need to jump over to Photoshop and let's kind of do a couple of things. Number one is I don't think you can do this logo tall. But also, I think, of course, it needs to be white. We can make it white easy enough. You can just press Command-I, and it will invert it, and now it's white. But I think that you're going to have to put the name and your logo and your icon side by side. It's just not going to fit. So let's do this. Let's shrink it down and move the text over here. You know what I'm going to do so you can see a little better? I'm just going to throw a black background behind it. I'm just going to add a new layer and throw a background so you can see what I'm doing a little better. All right, so here's what I'm doing. I'm shrinking the logo down, and I'm going to take the little icon of your logo. By the way, this is probably not your logo. We're going to cut this out. I'm going to go Shift Command J on Mac, Shift Control J on Windows, which cuts it from that layer and puts it on its own. And I'm actually going to make the logo a little smaller because it's like eating up the other logo. All right, so that would be your logo now if you want to actually fit it. Now you don't have to have the graphic, the icon. You could have that or not, or show neither. Just put Anderson Photography. But you could just almost do that in text. It would be a little sticky to have the two different typefaces, but I guess let's just go with this. Now I'm going to make it very small. I'm going to crop it in. Really small like this. Hit crop-a-rooney under the image menu. There we go. And that will put us on a black background, or you can just throw the background away, and of course the white letters will go over a black background. Let's just do that. And then let's go ahead and save this as a PNG. Save as photo logo white, transparent, and save it as a PNG. Let's see if we made it small enough, because that's always the fun part. We're going to choose Identity Plate Setup. This one is for that upper corner. So it is different than the one in the print module. You're going to click on Use a Graphical Identity Plate. Let's go choose one. Our Photo White Transparent. That's the one we wanted, right? Yes. And it appears there way too large. Just giant, crazy large. So we know that we made it too big. How can you make sure that it actually is the correct size? Well, here's what you can do. Let's hit cancel, because this is a very, very small area. Here's what I do anyway. I make a screen capture of that area, and that's the size of the Photoshop document that I make. Now, you can use whatever screen capture software you like. If you're on a Mac, you can do Shift Option Command 4. Who knew? And that will take a screen capture with any area you drag around. So Shift Control Command 4. You know you're doing it right if you get carpal tunnel syndrome. Let's say it again, because I gave it wrong the first time. It's Shift, Control, Command, 4, and your cursor turns into you can see it turns into a little crosshair. We're going to select that area right there. So that's about the space we get. And let go. That's copied into memory. So now when you shoot over to Photoshop and you go to the New dialog box, we choose New, and inside the new document, it automatically has the size. This is the size of what I copied to my clipboard, that little part of Lightroom. So that area that you actually have is 303 pixels by 53. To be safe, 300 by 50. All right, so let's just do that. Let's create a new document that is 300 by 50 at 72 ppi. All right, so if you don't want to do a screen capture, that's about the right size, 300 by 50. Now, go take your other logo, which is way too big. All right, and let's go ahead and merge these two together by pressing Command E on Mac or Control E on Windows, so that way they takes the top layer, merges it with the one below it, and now they are one piece. So to select all of that, what I'm going to do is either I can just click the layer. Well, let's just do this. Click the layer, drag and hold it on the other tab, and then when it finally appears, drag it and release it inside the document window. And now our logo is here, and you can see our logo is quite too big. We'll press Command T on Mac or Control T on Windows, and you can see that's how big our logo was. Let's make it fit in that space. That's still probably going to really be a little tight. And there we go. So I got it to fit inside that space. Let's throw away the background layer so we maintain the transparency. Let's save the file, and let's call this one Photo Logo, Small, Transparent, White, whatever you like. For the sake of consistency, let's not be consistent, and we'll save that. Now let's go back to Lightroom. It should fit pretty well now. Let's go to the Identity Plate Setup. Let's go to use a graphical identity plate. Let's locate our new file. Photo, logo, white, transparent, or is it this one? I think that's it. Choose it. It's much smaller. You can see the preview of it right there. Now, if you look, this is just a little aside, it looks a little low to me, like it's a little too low. So I'm gonna go back and fix it. I think it could go a few pixels higher. Let's go back here to our image. It's still there, right? And let's go get the move tool, and I'm gonna hit the up arrow key. Let's zoom in a little so you can see. Actually, I'll make the background black again just for a second. And I'm gonna get the layer with the logo and just move it up to the top like that. So there's a little better gap up there. All right, now throw the background away, resave, and yes, this is what real life is like. I'm just gonna give this a short name, logo. All right, here we go. Let's go back to Lightroom. Let's go to the module, identity plate setup, go choose locate file, choose logo, easy to remember. And you can already see in the preview, it's moved up a little bit more. Might have to tweak that a little bit by maybe adding a couple of pixels of black below it so it moves up. But anyway, it's certainly better than it was. So that's how we basically get to that point. Well, guys, that wraps up part 1 of everything else in Lightroom. Of course, like I said at the very beginning, there will be a part 2. There's surely going to be a part 3. I can envision even a part 4 of these little things that maybe they're not big enough to make a class, but you want to be able to learn how to do a particular one. You can jump right to it. And that's how I hope that you will have used this class. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned more stuff in Lightroom, and I hope you'll check out my other classes here on Kelby One. Take care, everybody. All right, let's create a metadata template for your copyright so you can automatically have your copyright embedded into any photo. It starts over here in the metadata panel. We're in the library module right up here. Let's go to metadata. And right under here, you'll see a preset. And of course, the preset is set to none. So you're going to want to go here and choose edit presets, and it's going to bring up a preset that's kind of already filled out. I have an old one here, so we're going to create a new one. The place that I'm most concerned about is right here, the IPTC copyright. You're going to want to turn that on. All right, and then you're going to want to fill out these forms. All right, so the copyright, let's go copyright is, let's do 2017, and we'll say Scott Kelby. That's me, or Scott Kelby Photography. There we go. My copyright status is unknown. No, it's known. It's copyrighted. What are the rights usage terms? And you could say, no usage, without prior written consent. You can put in whatever you want there. I'm just putting the standard stuff. And then if you have information about your copyright, this is an important thing to have, is to create a page on your website or wherever that basically lets people know, here's where you can license, here's what can be used, here's what can't be used, what can be attributed, what has to be, licensed, or, how do you get permission, or how do you buy a print or an image or license an image? You need some place where people can figure it out. So I'll just put my website in here, scottkelby.com. I have a page called usage. It's very just kind of straight up ahead. Now, the IPTC creator. Don't make me figure out who Scott Kelby is. There's not that many Scott Kelbys. Believe it or not, there are other people with the exact name, Scott Kelby. I love those people. However, if your name's Steve Johnson, you better put some more information in here. So I'm going to click on the IPTC creator, and let's put the address in here, and your city, and your state. You get the idea. Your zip code, your country, your phone, your email. Put all this stuff in there. Your website. And your job title. All right, you put all that stuff in there, and then you could hit done, or you can save this as a preset. For goodness sake, save it as a preset so you don't have to do this again. So go in there and put Scott Copyright 2017. There you go. Now it is a preset. That's what you want. Now you click done. All right. So now when you go to apply this to an image, right, you can apply a preset, and now it has that information embedded right into it. So now it's got that the photo is copyrighted. It's got your website. It's got all that junk right in the file. And if you want to apply it to a bunch of photos, here's what you can do. Let's harvest the power of something that we saw earlier to apply it to something now. So let's go up here to metadata. Show me all my photos. Let's go to all photographs, but what I want is, I want copyright status. Well, it tells you that there are 154 photos, 39 are copyrighted, 115 are not copyrighted. They have no copyright. So what I need to do is select all of those and go and choose my copyright. Now, by choosing that and clicking on Scott's Copyright 2017, every single photo will have the copyright applied to it immediately. Now, if you ever need to, let's just cancel out all of that. If you need to edit this ever or change it, just go back to the same place, go to edit presets. You can have multiple ones. You can have ones that do have your address, don't have your address, set it up any way you want. You can have all that stuff built into your metadata presets. So they're called metadata presets because they don't have to just be about copyright. They can be about whatever you want them to be. If you're working for a news service or something, sometimes you're going to have to add keywords that are specific or their information that's specific and stuff. This is where you would do it inside the edit metadata presets. But today you and I are using it for copyright stuff. All right, let's look at editing multiple photos at one time. One of my very favorite things to do in Lightroom. I think it's one of the strengths of Lightroom is being able to do that. Okay, here's how it works. First, you click on the photo that you want to have the same change you make to this photo applied to a bunch of other photos. Now, the feature is called auto sync. But if you select an image and you go over to the develop module, you will not see the auto sync button. It does not appear. For auto sync to appear, you have to select more than one photo because this is designed to work with multiple photos. So let's go back to the library module. Let's select multiple photos. Let's select all 6 of these. Now, when I go to the develop module, I press the letter D to go to module, the develop module. Look at the bottom. The word previous is now changed to the word sync. Now, syncing is okay. Auto sync rocks. Syncing is a little bit of a manual thing. Let me show you what, let me just zoom back out and I'll show you what auto sync does and what sync does. Sync, actually, if you click on it, it goes, okay, I'm going to copy the attributes from the first photo you clicked on, but which attributes should I select? Well, I haven't done anything to this yet, so let's go to we would go to the first one, and maybe I would desaturate her skin a little bit and open up the shadows because her sweater is black, but you don't see any detail. It just looks like black. So we have to bring out a little detail. I would do those 2 things to this photo. Then you'd have to go in here to sync and say, all right, for the rest of the photos, we're going to just do, let's uncheck all this junk. I would just say shadows and then vibrance maybe. Okay. Seems like a lot of work, right? I want to do the same thing to all other photos. I got to do all this junk. This is why I don't recommend sync. I just don't recommend it. Instead, if you notice, if you look at the sync box, right beside it is a little check. It's a little toggle switch. If you click on that, it switches it to auto sync. Yay, that's the one you want, auto sync. Here's what auto sync means. Whatever I do to the first photo, automatically do all the rest of the photos immediately in real time. So, look, I've selected the first photo. By the way, if you look, all of these photos are selected, but this one is a little brighter. Adobe calls that the most selected photo. And no, I'm not making that up. That's really what it's called, the most selected photo. So I'm going to go to the most selected photo. Now I'll go to the develop module. I have auto sync turned on. By the way, I leave auto sync just on all the time. I never turn it off. It's always, always on for me. All right, now go to the basic module and let's do what we're going to do. Increase the shadows a little bit. Now you'll watch. I'm going to show you down here. As I do that to one photo, all the other photos automatically update. And then I'm going to take back the vibrance a little so her skin's not so yellow, and all of the other images automatically update as it's happening. If I were to do something crazy, well, that's not crazy enough. Let's go here. If I do something crazy, because I'm in auto sync, all of the thumbnails update immediately, and you can see that they reflect. And if I undo that, of course, they will, here, let's select them all again. They will go back to their regular, normal, happy, perfectly exposed state. So that's what auto sync does. It allows you to select one photo, whatever you do to that automatically applies it to all the rest. Now, at some point, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to select all your photos, you're going to go to crop one, and it crops all the rest, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just cropped 200 photos. Don't freak out. Just hit undo. Just Command-Z on Mac, Control-Z on Windows, hit undo. If you did 3 steps and accidentally applied it to 200 photos, don't sweat it. Undo, undo. So it'll happen. It's going to happen. That should not be a reason not to use. If you didn't know undo, it would be a reason. But now that you know the undo shortcut, use auto sync. You will love it. It will speed your work. It'll let you whip through things like baseball shoots and weddings and stuff like that, where a lot of the photos are identical and need the same little tweak added to them. Let's look at how to edit video clips, because you can do way more than you think in Lightroom. Because it doesn't seem like in Lightroom you can really do anything. You can play a video clip. So this is a video clip that I took with my phone on vacation with my brother, and this is obviously Venice, Italy. Well, I guess if you don't see a gondola, it's not super obvious, but it is. It's Venice, Italy. Maybe a gondola will come by, or we'll see one here in a second. Okay, this is the video. Let's speed it up. All right, so there's any gondolas over there? No, anyway. There's my brother and my buddy. All right, so that's the video. You can see it's a full color, full length video. Now, if I wanted to edit this video and maybe add some contrast or warm up the white balance or whatever, you'd go to the develop module, and the develop module says, video is not supported in develop. A very, very sad development. But there's 2 weird things that you can do. They're definitely like kind of tricks, but I think you'll want to know them. Number 1 is if you go over here to quick develop, right? And let's just expand what you can do. See all this stuff here. All right, if you go to quick develop, this stuff still works. Exposure, contrast, whites, blacks, vibrance, right? This stuff still works. It's kind of amazing. And let's just go over here and like change the treatment to black and white. And look at that, our whole video is now black and white. When I play it, it changed all the frames instantly to black and white. So the develop module won't let you edit video, but for some reason quick develop will. So I go in here and hit the double arrows and add some contrast, and let's increase the amount of blacks. Whoops, go the other way, here we go. Increase the amount of blacks, make it a little better there, and more contrast, and maybe take down the whites a bit. And there you go. You can tone the whole thing right here, which is just kind of surprising, all right? So that's an interesting development. Number two is, let's just go ahead and reset that video. Let's reset all to we're back to the color video. Here's another thing. Let's just go, well, I really want to be able to I look, highlights is gone, shadows is gone, clarity is gone. We're missing some stuff I'd like to be able to adjust. So while you still can't invest it in, you can edit it in Quick Develop. It's not as good as the Develop module. Oh, but we can do something very cool. Let's do this. Here's our image. Let's go over here to this little pop-up menu. There's a little gear over here, all right? Let's go click there. That's for trimming the video. So if you want to make the video longer or shorter, you can make it here. Just to the left of it is a pop-up menu with a capture frame and set poster frame. Poster frame is whatever's the first video you would see that represents the thumbnail. But its capture frame allows you to steal a single frame from the video. So we'll just grab the first one up front. We hit capture frame, and look, it makes a little still right next to the video. So we have the Academia Bridge movie, and then we have just the Academia Bridge JPEG. Now, we're going to select both of them and go to the Develop module. Now, the first one I selected was the JPEG and the movie. You ready for this? With AutoSync turned on, and if you don't know what AutoSync is, go back and watch the AutoSync section here. But with AutoSync turned on, whatever I do to the JPEG will automatically be applied to the movie. I know, it's crazy. So let's go over here, and now I have all the controls. I can add clarity, I can make it black and white, I can add contrast, I can pull back the highlights, I can add shadows, pull back the whites, let's add some blacks. I can do whatever I want to do. I can go over here to the split toning panel. Let's make a little bit of a duotone look to the whole thing. There we go. And then when you go to the video, that is, you can't see it here because they are synced together under AutoSync. It has all of the changes applied to it because it just does. I don't know why. I can't explain it. Lightroom just says, oh, well, in this one case, it's okay to do all this stuff to the video. You know, mine isn't to question, but to just pass it on to you. So those are a couple of video tips that I hope that you find helpful, because there's a lot more to editing video in Lightroom than meets the eye. So there you go. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Everything Else in Lightroom, Part 1. And yes, it is a Part 1. There will also be a Part 2, a Part 3, and maybe even a Part 4. Why so much? Because there's so much other stuff in Lightroom. And here's what I wanted to do with this class so you'll understand, then we're going to zoom right into it. I wanted to create a class where you could go and look at a particular topic, like how do I move my images from like my laptop to another computer, or what are all the different things I can do for before and after, and how do I do keywording efficiently and things like that. Topics that we have that none of them would make an entire class, but there's still stuff that you need to do and still stuff you want to know about. So I'm just putting them in here by topic. Go to the topic you want, click on it. We're just going to discuss that one thing, and it's a whole class of that. Well, the problem was when I wrote the outline, I got to like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm like, this is way too much for one class. So we're breaking it into at least 3 classes. By the time I get to the third class, it'll probably be 4. But let's start here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is literally one of the most requested things I get. People ask me, and they all ask the same question. How do I save an image as a JPEG? There is no save as. If you go in Lightroom and look, there's no place that says save as, export, as JPEG. And it's because that word export. So Lightroom actually uses the word export instead of like save as. If you just want to get the current file you have selected on screen, saved as a JPEG quickly, go over and click export here. That's the button for save as. They just called it something else. Choose where you want to save it. That's what this little export location is. Do you want to put it in a subfolder or on your drive? You just choose. This little button right here will let you choose which specific folder you want it to go in. You can choose other places too. Then just go down here under File Settings and choose your image format. There's JPEG. Save it at the quality setting that you like, and literally just hit export and you're done. It's going to save it to that file. That's it. Super easy. Now, if you want to dig in a little bit further, let's look at the export dialog box, all the things that you can do in there, because there's some really, really helpful and time-saving things you can do inside that dialog box. So let's just start from scratch. Now, take a look here in the export one file window here. And I'm just going to take you from top to bottom because this is really great stuff to know. And the main reason is because you can create presets so you don't have to fill this stupid format every time. Here we go. The first thing it says, where are we going to export to? Do you want to just put it in the same folder as the original? Do you want it to your desktop, to your home phone? Where do you want it? Well, you can choose anywhere you want by just clicking on this little choose button right here. And it's going to bring up your standard open dialog box. You find where you want to save it, to an external drive or to your hard drive or whatever. So that's step 1. Figure out where do you want to save it to. Now, you have the option of putting it in a subfolder. And the subfolder, you can name anything you like. If you decide to put it in there, you can just type in, final images or whatever you like, and that will be what you save it as. You can have images that you export added back into the catalog by clicking the Add to This Catalog button right below. And then if it runs into an existing file, like if you already have a file with the same name, it's going to ask you what to do, or it can overwrite it without warning. I love the way they put it. I love the way they put it in all caps, like, override without warning. They're serious about that one, or just skip it. So I usually leave ask what to do. All right, this is nice. Next, you're able to do file naming. So if when you're saving them, you want to have a different name. Let's just say, for example, your images are named like underscore DSC 05692.nef or something, or .cr2. Probably not the best name, descriptive name to save it under. So you can choose a custom name. If it's just one file, you can choose a custom name. But if you're going to have more than one file, it's going to try to name the files all with the same name. So choose custom name plus a sequence. So in this case, we might call this, let's see, New Zealand trip. And then it's going to be named number 01. You get to choose your starting number. But you can also have it automatically do, it will automatically do, by the way, if you choose custom name plus sequence, it'll do start number 1, and the next file will be number 2, number 3, and so on. It'll number them automatically. All right? If you have video, of course, it's going to ask you video questions. For your file settings, this is where you get to choose which image format you want. In my case, I'm saving it as a JPEG, but you could save it as a PSD, like a Photoshop document, a TIFF file, a DNG, which is like Adobe's RAW format, or you can actually just save the original. In this case, I'm working on a RAW file. I'm going to save it as a JPEG, and then you get to choose the quality setting right over here using this slider. I can tell you that my preferred quality setting is 80. That's the one that I personally use. I like it because I think it gives you a pretty good balance between the quality looking real good and the file size being fairly reasonably compressed. So you have a reasonably small file size with a really good quality. You can go up to 100, and of course your file size is going to get a lot bigger. I don't think your quality is going to get noticeably better. So I've been using 80 for many years. I've never had a problem with it. You can use any number there you like. If you want to go to 100, you can go to 100, no problem. But I'm just telling you, I think 80 is my sweet spot. All right, your color space. You get to choose your color space here. If you're going to the web, like if you're saving images for putting on Facebook or on your online portfolio or whatever, my recommendation would be to use sRGB, which is the web color space. And your images, your colors will look the most consistent when you put them on the web if you save that. Adobe RGB 1998 is a popular printing space for printing, and the ProPhoto RGB is Lightroom's native color space. It is a very wide gamut. It works really nice for printing directly from Lightroom. Now, if you're going to print from something else, you might want to stick with Adobe RGB. If your workflow is to basically only use Photoshop and maybe print out of there, and you don't mind switching Photoshop's color space to ProPhoto RGB, then you can choose ProPhoto RGB. But anyway, I generally will keep mine because I share most of my images on the web. I'm either going to share them on the web or use Adobe RGB 1998 for printing. Next, image sizing. Here's where you choose your size. You can choose resize to fit. You can put in based on the long edge. You can type in your own width and height. You can use pixels, inches, whatever you like goes right in there. Output sharpening. This is pretty important. So when you are leaving Lightroom, do you want to apply sharpening for however it's going to be seen? My answer is always yes. I want to apply that last bit of sharpening for where it's going to be saved. And you have a couple different choices. Number one is screen. So if these images are only going to be seen on a computer screen, in a slideshow, on a website, on your web portfolio or something like that, choose screen. And then you have 3 choices for your sharpening: low, standard, and high. I can tell you that after years of using this, low means off. Standard means low. High means medium. These are very conservative amounts of sharpening, so at the very least I would choose standard for screen. If you're going to put it on screen, low, you probably won't even notice that there is sharpening being added. But that's what I would put there. Under metadata, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't go into the matte and glossy paper. If you're printing, then I choose either matte paper or glossy paper, depending on what you're printing on, and then I always recommend going to high. That's me personally, because you lose a lot of sharpness in the printing process, and by sharpening it set to high, you get a little bit of that sharpness back. If I'm printing and saving this image and I know I'm going to print it, my default would always be to choose high, and like I said, high isn't really high, it's kind of more like medium sharpening. All right, next, there's metadata. How much of your personal information do you want to keep in here? Do you want all the metadata? Now, that means that someone looking at your file could open it up in Lightroom or in Photoshop and see your camera serial number, what f-stop it was shot at, your ISO, your lens, the whole 9 yards. Or do you want to choose just stuff like, I want everything, but I don't want the camera or camera raw info, or I only want copyright and contact info, which is a popular one because it strips out all the personal information about your camera and your settings and things, but it leaves your copyright information and it leaves your contact info. And we're going to talk later in this class, one of the little things we talk about is creating a copyright metadata template. So we'll talk about that when we get there, but I would definitely, there's no sense of putting copyright on it, not saying who owns the copyright or how to contact you if they wanted to buy it or something or license it. So, all right. Next is watermarking. If you want to apply watermark, you would turn on the watermark checkbox. I am going to go through watermarking a little bit later in this class, so we'll get to see that as well. And the last part is a thing called, it's a post-processing thing. It's what you do after you process this. So by default, you save the JPEG and nothing happens. Or you can say, I want to see it, open it up and let me see the file. You can have the file automatically open up in Photoshop. You could have it open up in a plugin. You could have it open up in another application, or you could apply an action. You can go to Photoshop and you can build an action called an export action. And basically what it'll do is your file will leave Photoshop, let's say that again. Your file leaves Lightroom, it goes to Photoshop. And when it's in Photoshop, it plays a pre-recorded script of a bunch of things that you want it to do, and then it saves and closes the file all automatically without you ever having to touch Photoshop. That is another lesson in this series. So we're not going to go into that. But if you go, oh great, I can run an action after I'm done, well, that's where you would go right there. And the name of the action's added right here. All right, when you're done, you hit export and it saves the file. So it just makes a copy, it just saves it. Now, there's a couple things before we actually save it. There's a couple things I want to talk to you about that I think you might want to know. If you do the same thing again and again and again, I basically save them at their native size, I apply the same amount of sharpening, I like to save it in the same folder or whatever, you can go and create a preset. Right over here in the Export One dialog box at the bottom, there's a little thing called Add. This lets you add a preset of the current settings. So you could call this, my standard JPEG or whatever you like, and click Create, and it will wind up right there in your user exports, and then you can just click on that and these settings will all fly right into place and you're ready to go. So that's just a really time-saving thing. Another thing, and this is just another little time saver, once you've exported a file the way you want it, and you're working, if you want to have another file be exported with the exact same settings, you don't even have to go to the export dialog box or any of that stuff. If you go under the file menu right here, you can choose export with previous, and it will export the current file with whatever the settings you used last time. So it exports with your previous settings. All right, so that is a quick look at how to export your files as a JPEG, but of course you can also export as TIFF and PSD. You saw all that in the class, but the important thing is now you know how to export and get your stuff out of Lightroom. Okay, here's how to convert a folder into a collection. If you're working in folders and you would prefer to work in collections, which are safer, better, and offer all kinds of great features, wink, do collections. Anyway, here's how to convert from a folder to a collection. Couldn't be easier. Make sure that the folders folder is showing, the folders panel is showing, the collections panel is showing, so you can see them both. Now, you can only see one at a time. You just need to right-click and turn off solo mode. So solo mode lets you see just one panel at a time that you're working on, just the current one. You need to make sure that that's off so you can have multiple panels open at the same time. Then all you're going to do is this, super easy. Click on the folder here in the folders panel, drag it down to the collections panel. You will see a yellow line show up and see that little plus? Just means I'm going to add it and make it a collection. Boom, done, there it is. Adds it as a collection and you're done. Easiest thing in the world. That's how you convert a folder into a collection. Let's look at relinking lost photos. So if you have a warning sign on one of your thumbnails, all it means is I have the preview still in Lightroom. You can still look at it, you can see it, but you can't go to the develop module and edit because it doesn't have the original. It can't find the original. And you'll know this because take a look over here, let's look at an image. You'll see it's got this little exclamation point up in the top right corner. It's just like, I don't know where the original is. It just straight up doesn't have any idea. And if you look over under your histogram, it will even tell you. Photo is missing, like where's the original? So here's what you got to do. First, if you click directly on that little icon, if you click right on it, it will tell you where it used to be. It'll say, all right, Amsterdam Library 5 can't be located. Would you like to locate it? Here's where it was. It shows the previous location. The previous location was on my desktop in a folder called Amsterdam Finals and Amsterdam Library. It's obviously not there anymore. It would know where it was. You know what happened? I moved it. I moved it onto an external hard drive. So all I have to do to relink not just this one photo, but all the photos in this folder or in this collection is to just use a little button right here on the screen. You see locate. Use locate and then just say, here's where they are. Okay, yeah, I'll hit locate. I put them on my external drive. They're in my Lightroom photos. They're inside my travel collection. Oh, there they are, Amsterdam photos. Now when I double click on it, it's gonna ask me for where is Amsterdam Library 5. It is right there. Amsterdam Library 5. Now notice at the bottom, it says find nearby missing photos. That is a really key checkbox because what that's going to say is once I find this photo, it'll find all the other photos in there and relink them automatically. If not, it's just going to link that one photo and you'll have to go back one by one for every single photo and link them. So I strongly encourage you to leave this checkbox, find nearby missing photos, turned on. So watch, that way I find the one photo, I hit select, and look, in just a second, all of the little warning signs are gone because it automatically found the missing photos. It went through and found them all for you. By the way, if you're wondering, like, gosh, I wonder how many other photos I have that are broken on my whole computer. There's a two-step process to do that. Very simply, go to the catalog, click on all photographs, then go up here under photo, and what you're going to choose, under library, and choose find all missing photos. You have to click all photographs first or it'll just search the collection that you're in. Maybe you want to search the collection you're in, but really, if you want to find out how healthy your library is, if everything's linked, then go under the library menu, choose find all missing photos, and it will show you. Luckily, there are no missing photos. Now, if I had done that 3 minutes ago, it would have shown me all these ones in Amsterdam, but I don't have a single photo in this catalog that is not linked to the original image. But that's where you would find them. If they were broken, you would see them all listed here on screen. Every photo that was broken would be there. You'd click on the little icon, show Lightroom where you move that photo to, and it relinks them for you. So that's just a little bit about relinking your photos. I know a lot of people worry about that. Luckily, it's fairly easy to fix as long as you know where the photos are. By the way, what do you do if you don't know where the photos are? You're like, well, I don't know where they are now. That's when you would use your operating system's regular find function. So on a Mac, you'd use a spotlight search or something. You just go in there and type in the name of one of the missing photos, and it will tell you where they've moved. Then you're going to go back into Lightroom and say, oh, now I know where they are. Here's where they are. Everything links back together. When I'm teaching a Lightroom class and I show a before and after, on the first break, I get a long line of people going, how are you showing that before and after? How are you doing that? So I wanted to make sure that in this class that we covered how to do before and afters, because they're so incredibly handy to see where you started to where you're at. First, let's start off over here by doing something to this photo. This is the before, so let's do some stuff to it. First, I'm going to go down here to the effects panel, and I'm going to add a little dehaze because it was kind of a hazy morning, as you can see, and that does a wonderful job of cutting the haze. Then we'll go back here to the basic panel. Let's add a little contrast. Let's pull back on the highlights because it's getting a little punchy on the rocks there. Maybe we can open up the shadows a little bit, add some highlights, add some clarity to bring out the detail, and I guess that's pretty decent right there. Okay, so that's not a bad one. Now, how do we see an instant before and after? If you press the backslash key on your keyboard, so it's right under the delete key on a Mac or the backspace on a Windows, that just shows you the before. And even says the word. If you look right up here in the corner, it actually even says before, so you know which one you're looking at. Because if your before and your after look a lot alike, you just haven't done enough to it. So let's go back. Here we go. So there's the after, only the before shows the before. So that's one way to see a quick before and after. Now, my favorite way is to actually instead is to press the letter Y. The letter Y gives you a side-by-side before and after, but before I press Y, I like to press Shift-Tab. Here's why. Take a look on screen. When you press Shift-Tab, it moves the side panels out of the way. So that way, when I do press the letter Y, my before and after will have more room. They'll be larger. So let's press Y now. And there's your before and after. These, it marks both. You can see the before and the after are right there. So that's kind of nice. But you also have a couple more options that are interesting. If you were to go down here to where you see the little icon with a Y on it, that's the keyboard shortcut. So it shows you the little letters here. If you click on it, then it gives you a split screen. So the before on the left and the after on the right. That can be kind of handy. If you click it again, now it's going to do top and bottom. I don't find the top and bottom one really as easy as the left and right because the way we look from left to right, and you always see before and afters left to right. So this one kind of freaks me out, but you might like it. And then if you click it again, it does a split screen top and bottom. That actually is probably more useful than stacking the other way. And then to get back, you can always just press the Y one more time, and it's the standard before and after. Now, when you're done seeing before and afters, of course, you can press the letter D, and it just returns you to the develop module, or you can click the square icon right down here. Let me zoom in and let you see that. There's a little square icon that takes you back there. So this is for your before and afters. If you click, there's a little pop-up menu so you can see what they are, or it's just as easy to toggle through them using the letter Y, or this one will take you back to where you started. Now, you also have some other options over here. If I scroll over, let's get back down so you can see. We have to go to a before and after view before they show up, and that is the ability to be able to switch. So you can, well, I'll just let you see here. You can copy the before settings to the after photo if you wanted to. You can also move the after settings to the before, or you can swap the before and after settings. You might find those helpful. I don't really use them, but there they are. Now, I do have a really good before and after little tip for you before we leave, and that is this. Let's just say that in this example, back in the develop module, that I wanted to convert the image. Let's start over. Let's go to reset down here, and I'm going to convert the image to black and white, and we're going to make a black and white version. So that's the standard black and white, and let's go to contrast, and let's add some whites and blacks. So it's kind of the same thing we did. I think I'd go a little further with the blacks, maybe lower the overall exposure a bit, open up the shadows some. All right, so there's my black and white. So when I want to see it before, I'm going to hit the backslash key. Unfortunately, it goes all the way back to the color photo. I want to compare the original black and white conversion to all the tweaks that I just did. So watch, if I go here, this over here on the left, the before, I want to be black and white. The original black and white conversion, not the original color. So the way to do that is this. Make your side panels visible over here. Go to your history. So your history is a list of everything you've ever done to this photo in order. So we're going to go to convert to black and white. So look, you can see, look in the navigator panel right up here. I'll make it a little wider for you so you can see. Look in the navigator panel. It takes you through all the steps. Go right here. So it was color, and then we converted it to black and white. That's really the before I want to see. What you can do is just right click on here and say copy this history step to before. That basically will make this now the before picture, or you can just literally drag and drop this over here. Let's click on convert to black and white, drag it over there, and let's hide those side panels by hitting shift tab again, and now I'm seeing the before and after I wanted. Here's what the standard conversion looked like. Here's what the conversion looks like after I tweaked it by basically adding contrast and clarity over in the develop module. But there's just a couple of tips I think you'll find handy for working with before and afters. All right, are you ready to do a mega search? So that's not its official name, but there is, of course, a search feature built into Lightroom, and you saw it earlier if you watched the keywording, where you just press Command F on Mac or Control F on Windows, and it brings up this whole search function where you can type in a word and search. But the depth and the power of the search in Lightroom is so far beyond that. To get to this filter, it's a library filter, you can press the / key when you're in the library. The develop module / gives you a before and after. In the library module, it toggles on and off this little bar that you see up here on the top. So watch, it just toggles it on or off, or if you want to, you could press Command F on Mac or Control F on Windows. It brings up a little find field. And by default, it wants to check by text. That's okay. That's a good way to search for stuff, right? If you have keywords, or if you just named your files with very descriptive names. It's easy to find. If you want to find your photos from Paris, you can just type in the word Paris, and as long as you named them with reasonable names, they'll come up. Now, that's one way to search. And of course, under text, you have all different ways to search. You can search the captions or the titles or the file name. I leave it set to any searchable field. Search anywhere if I'm looking for something. Now, the next couple of ones are important. Attribute. Attribute is kind of like searching by the filter bar at the bottom. Remember the little filter bar down here where you can turn on like labels and things like that. But before you do that, you want to make sure that it's searching everything, all the photographs. So click on all photographs, and then let's go to attribute. So now it's going to search just there. And you can search by flag or by rating. This pretty much does the same thing that the little filter bar does down there, except over here, if you're making virtual copies, you can say, just show me all my master photos, my original actual photos. Or just show me my virtual copies. If you're making virtual copies, you can see just those, or you can say, I just want to see videos. So there's 3 little buttons that it adds, but outside of that, it doesn't add a whole bunch. It's the next one that I call the mega search. It's also known as the search of last resort. You're going to use this search if you did not name your files with reasonable names. You're going to use this if you don't know where else to search and you're desperate and I've got to find this image. And my only chance is remembering something about how I took the image or where I took the image. It's called the metadata field. So what happens is behind the scenes, Lightroom is looking at the XF data embedded into your files. It's looking at the shutter speed and the lens and the camera and the serial number and the date and all that stuff that your camera automatically embeds in the photo when you actually take the shot, right? So click on metadata, and as long as you have all photos chosen, it's going to show you where here's all the keywords. Here's the camera you use, right? All right, now that's the camera you used for the ones that are tagged with the word church. Aha! That's right, you had the keyword church selected, so it's only going to show you like you only have one camera. No, I have all of them, but if you choose all, everything that has a keyword, look, now all kinds of other ones show up. But this shows you all the cameras. If you want to see the shots that were taken with a 5D Mark IV, you tap that. Want to see the ones taken with a 5D Mark III, you tap that. Want to see the ones that were taken with a 1DX, you tap that. So it's then, want to see what was taken with a 15mm lens? It was those. How about a 14? How about a 70-200? And it goes, you can see the different lenses and stuff. And you can also use labels, anything that has like a color label and things like that. But these stack, so that is what was taken with a Canon 1DX with that lens and a label. Well, 21 of them don't have a label at all. 3 of them do have a label. Now, here's the thing. This is kind of cool. You're not stuck with keyword, camera, lens, and label. Click on the word keyword and look at the things you could choose. Look at this list. You could say, I want to sort by camera, or by lens, or by serial number, or by focal length, or by shutter speed. Let's say that you're trying to find photos that you know were taken at night in low light. You could say, just show me by ISO speed, and it will break out all the different ISO you've shot at. You want to see the photos you took at 4,000 ISO? Well, there you go. That's it. That is an awesome pizza restaurant, by the way, in Queensland and New Zealand. I think it's called The Cow. What a great, great restaurant. Doesn't matter. But anyway, you can see, here's what was taken at 2,000 ISO, 1,600, 1,250, 1,000. So you have different ones you can click on. You can go over here and choose a different thing. It knows the date you took everything by year, by month, by day. So you don't have to worry about like using file names that have the date in it because your Lightroom's already taken advantage of that. Your camera's recording the date and Lightroom can read it. So this metadata thing, I always think of it as kind of a mega search, but also when I'm there, I kind of realize I've really fallen down on naming my files because this should be easier to find with collections and things like that. And I talk about that quite a bit in my class called the Simplified Lightroom Image Management System here on Kelby 1 because having to use the metadata thing is really, it's the place of last resort. But if you get to that point, I at least want you to know how to do it and how powerful it is because you can really drill down into the data to help you find the image you're looking for if you can't find it any other way. Let's talk about moving a collection from one computer to another. So for example, let's say that you're out shooting, you're on location, and you've done a shoot, imported the images into Lightroom, so I have them here like on my external hard drive. So the photos are there. I've imported into Lightroom, and I've gone through, and you can see on screen here, I got some pics, I got some color labels, I got some star ratings, I've added some keywords here and there. So I've got them in the order I want it. They're all sorted, and everything's looking just like I want it. Now, how do I get all of this to my computer back in my studio or back at my house or my office or wherever and keep all of this intact? It's actually very, very easy. Go to your collections folder and you're going to click on the collection that you want to move from one place to the other. Then you're going to go under the File menu and you're going to choose Export as a Catalog. So that's going to basically make that collection exportable so you can take it over to your other computer and feed it in. So let's choose Export as a Catalog. It's going to bring up a dialog box and we're going to save it. Now we want to save it onto our external hard drive. All right, this window pops up and we'll choose, this is a US Open Tennis. All right, so we're going to save this and it says export the selected photos only. No, I want all of the photos in there. Export the negative files. So those would be the files that are the actual photos. Well, I'm going to take the whole shoot over. I already have them on here. But if you just wanted them to take the photos that are inside that collection, you could choose this. The negative files, what it really means is the actual real files, the actual real photos. Because remember, there's two parts to Lightroom. There's your photos, right? That's the negative files. And then there's the Lightroom catalog, which is all your pics and your sorting and your labels and all that stuff. You need both parts to go over to the other computer. And then you can include or build smart previews. In this case, I'm not going to. I'm just going to hit Export Catalog. So now, what do I have on my external hard drive? I have a folder of images that I named US Open. And then I've got a catalog also called US Open Tennis. So I have those two things. Both of those have to go to my other computer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to export my, eject my hard drive. That's what it's called. Yes. I'm going to export my hard drive. Now I'm going to go to my other computer. I'm going to plug this in and I'll show you what's next. Well, now that we're at our other computer, we're going to plug in the drive. And there's going to be two things we're going to do. Number one, I'm going to copy the images from this portable drive onto my main archival drive. So this is the drive where I keep all my photos. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find the folder of images and I'm going to drag them over to the other computer. And once those have copied over, then what I'm going to put them in the right location on that drive. Then we are going to go to this computer. And what we'll do is go under the File menu, and we're going to choose Import from Another Catalog. That's the one we want, because before we exported as a catalog, now we want to import from that other catalog. So we go here, we choose this, we go inside and we find that catalog, we click on it, and then we choose Choose. And it's going to bring up this window here asking us if do we really want to bring in all of the, what's in there? Well, we only really moved one thing. So the answer, of course, is yes. Let's bring in that catalog, click OK, and now look, it actually appears right here, and it's all your changes, everything sorted just like you had in the other computer. So you're able to move from the laptop to any other computer and keep everything intact. Just don't forget, don't just move the catalog. Move the catalog and the photos. It's important that you have the photos on your main computer and the catalog. It's a two-part. A lot of people get burned on that. They'll just move the catalog and they didn't include the originals, and so then they're kind of later, why are all my images broken? They're not linking to the originals. Because your originals are still over on your hard drive. Don't make that mistake. Move them both, the photos and the catalog. Let's look at how to do filtering for pick flags, for star ratings, and for labels. It's actually done at the top of the film strip here at the bottom. So right at the top here, if you look, you'll see the word filter over on the right. If you don't see your filters, it's because they're tucked away. If you click on the word filter, watch, they pop out. There's your labels, there's your stars, and there's your pick flags. They're kind of grayed out at first. You can barely see them. That's because they're kind of turned off. So if you want to see, if you want to find out what were my picks from this collection of photos, you go down here to the filter, you would click on the very first one. So the first one that looks like white is the picks. Those are the ones that are unflagged, and the last one are the ones that you've marked as rejects. Let's click the first one. Now, I do want to give you a little tip, and this is kind of a weird thing. So the first time you click this, if you're brand new to Lightroom and you go down there and you click on, the pick flags, nothing happens. You have to click on it a second time, just the first time, for you to see your picks. And I asked Adobe about this. I'm like, why does this, why did I click and nothing happens? They said, well, the first click activates the filter. It says, okay, we're using picks. Then the second one is your choice. That's what they told me. So, of course, I came back with, well, nothing else in Lightroom works like that. If I go to the exposure slider, I don't click on it and say, hey, I move it, nothing happens. Well, the first time just activated it. That's for another day and another story. Let's not cover that now. let's just think that it might take you 2 clicks. In this case, I've been using it, so it shows me just the pics. So if I click on it, it highlights it. These are the 3 photos that I clicked as pics. Now, if you have star ratings, you can go show me the 1 star or higher, 2 star or higher, 3 star or higher, 4 star or higher, 5 star. There's only 1 5-star image and it happened to be that one. And by the way, I would never choose that as a 5-star image. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's get rid of those. And the filter's on, so it went away. Okay, now what if you have color labels? Click on the red and it shows you the red. Click on the next one over. How do I use color labels? Here's how I use them, because this might help you. Color labels are for other people instead of me. And that's what I mean. And here's what I mean by that. I'm in the studio. I'm shooting. If I see a shot I like, I mark it as a pic. I put a flag on it. So I hit the letter P and it marks it with a pic flag. Those are for me to know. But I have other people on the set that might want copies too. I might have a client. I might have the model. I might have hair. I might have a makeup artist. I might have 4 other people on the set that they want their particular shots. The makeup artist will generally want the ones where the makeup looks the best, or him, to tag it with a number 7. I would tell the makeup artist, tag it with a number 8. I would tell the hair hairstylist, I would tell the hairstylist to mark it with the letter 9. That way I can look through here and find out, okay, those 3 go to the client, this one goes to the model, does anything go? No, the hair, and they didn't choose anything. Okay, now you can also use these in tandem. You can say, just show me the pics. All right, I don't have any pics in this set here. Oh, those are, I'm sorry, rejects. Just show me the pics that are red, and that comes down to 1 photo. So this would be the one that I liked, and it's also the one that the client liked. So that's how you use the filters and things like that. They can really help you narrow down to the way to getting to what you want. And I think the pics flag and that whole thing is an excellent way to do it. If you're interested in learning more about pics and making selections and all that stuff, go watch my other class here on Kelby One. It's called the Simplified Lightroom Image Management System, or SLIM for short, Simplified Lightroom Image Management. I go into detail on how to whittle things down and put together collections and use pics, and when to use delete flags, when to use pic flags, and all that stuff. That's basically a whole class about it, because there's a whole way of thinking that all ties together. So go watch that if you have interest in that. But I did want to cover for you here real briefly how to use filters for star ratings, for pics, and for labels. One of the hardest things for me as a photographer, I think as photographers in general sometimes, is looking at a shoot where you have very similar images. For example, we're going to look at some images in a moment that were taken in the studio, same outfit, same gray background, kind of a standard fashion look. And how do you pick which one's the best? How do you know, like, oh, that's the one, that's the one? Well, there's actually 2 features inside of Lightroom that help you do that. And instead of having you look at a bunch of different photos that are the same, instead, what you're going to do is look at a bunch of different photos that are the same. Instead of trying to pick the best one, you're just going to simply go, which one do I like the least? Get rid of that. All right, let's look at them again. Which one do I like the least? Oh, I don't like this one. And you keep culling it down, and one photo will still be standing at the end. That's the one that you looked at multiple times, maybe 10, 20, 30 times, and it just kept staying there and staying there because it was better than every other photo. So it helps you get down to that one photo quickly. It's called survey mode, all right? And the way you do it, take a look on screen here. We have a bunch of images here that are very similar looking, all taken around the same time in the same shoot. So these images are all quite similar. So what we're going to do is select all, and then we press the letter N as in Nancy, and it displays our images on screen. All right, I'm going to hide the sidebars. We're going to press Shift Tab to hide them. And then if you look, as I move my cursor over them, a little X appears in the corner. So find the image that you like the least. Well, the one in the bottom right corner, she actually looks as though she wasn't ready to shoot, like she's kind of messing with something, and I fired. So not her fault, my fault. I'm supposed to fire at the right time, like she's getting ready, click, you know. So I don't like that one. So I just move my cursor over it and I click the X. It just removes it from screen. This is important. It doesn't delete it from your collection. It doesn't take it out of Lightroom. It doesn't do anything bad. It simply removes it from the screen from right now. That's why this is such a great mode. It's completely non-destructive. It doesn't do anything. It just puts them on screen and lets you kind of take them away one by one. All right, which do you like least? Well, there's no handbag in the first one, so that's easy. You get rid of that. Now it puts them all in a row. All right, so let's see which other ones do we not like? This one just kind of I just don't like the pose. So I'm going to click that, and it rewards you by making them slightly bigger. As you go down and down, they get bigger and bigger. Let's say I'm not crazy about this one either. I like the smile and the look there. That's probably better than this one. I'm going to get rid of that, and we're down to these 3. So one of these 3 is the best one from the shoot. Now you might want to just stop there and go, okay, these are the best ones, and you can click on them and mark 5 stars or a pick or whatever your system is for sorting yours, you can just click on it and say 5 stars. Now right now these 3 images are left, so if you click 5 stars, they're all going to have 5 stars. If you click a pick, they're all going to have a pick. But you can choose which one you like best. I still do like this one over here. This one's okay. I like the hair here and the pose. I'm just going to get one of these two, and I'm going to go with, I just like this one. So this one goes away, and this one would be flagged as a pick. And now I know when I go back to my collection, that was the best one from this round. I might select a whole other set and go. All right, so that's survey mode. Again, the keyboard shortcut is N. It's so obvious, survey, N. Anyway, let's go back and look at another mode. Let's say that you want to instead do kind of a shootout. So you'll select 2 photos from your set and just press the letter C, all right, for compare. So this is how this works. You have a photo that's selected, and then you have a candidate. Is this, the candidate, better than the selected one? You can decide yes or no. You can move through them using the arrows and try a different candidate. When you come to one you really like, which would maybe this one, then you can swap them. If you go down here to the bottom, you see there's a little X and Y. You can make that one the select by just clicking on the button. Now that one moves over to the left, and a new contender appears. And you can go through and see if any of these are better. If you find one of these you like better, I like that one better, it moves over. Now it's the select, and you go through again. Whatever's left on the left at the very end is the winner. That's your select, and then you mark that with whatever you like, a pick, flag, or whatever. But that would be the one that is the one that beat all the others in your comparison. So those are the 2 modes that help you get and select and get down to the keeper by using the process of elimination, which once you try it a couple times, you'll realize is a huge advantage getting down to that one select. If you want to do keywording to your photos, where you're tagging your photos with certain words that you want to be able to search for later, kind of a way for you to be able to find the images that you want quickly. There are so many ways in Lightroom to do this. Lightroom just has all kinds of different methods. I'm going to show you a bunch of different ones because I don't know which one's going to suit you best. You don't have to do them all. You might want to use 1 or 2 or different ones at different times. But the important thing is you're going to learn how to keyword and different ways to do it and things that Lightroom has put in there to help you be able to do the process quicker and be able to retrieve your images quickly. So keywording is done right here in this little panel right here in the library module. There is a keywording panel. And this is where you literally can just enter your keywords. Click on a photo, and then you'll see it says, click here. You know, it's kind of light here. There we go. Click here to add keywords. It says it right there. That's where you're going to click to add in a keyword. So if you want to add a keyword, you could just type in the word church. Well, that's what it is. And you could go, it's the Trinity Church in Boston, so you might go T-R-I-N, Trinity. And then if you put a comma between each word, it's going to add it to there. Then we go Boston, all right? And then you might go interior. And then you might say wide angle. And then you might say, what else would you say for this? Columns. And let's see what else. Stained glass windowed. Stained glass windows. You can put as many as you like, and when you're done, just hit the return key and it applies all of those keywords. If you look over here in the keywording panel, you can see there's the list of keywords that I just added, and you can add as many as you like. You can just go on and on and on and on. Now, so those are there. If I go to the next one, right, I'm going to do that all again, right? Well, it does give you keyword suggestions. It sees ones that you used recently, like Boston. If I just click on it, it adds it. Trinity, church, columns, interior. So if you just use some recent words, it figures, well, you're probably still doing the same ones. Do you want these? So it gives you a suggestion. Now, there's a couple of things I can give you. I can give you suggestions that will help speed this up. All of the photos in this set that you just are all from the Trinity Church in Boston, right? All of these are from there. So what you could do is, instead of just doing it one by one, which is painfully slow, select them all. Just hit Command-A on Mac or Control-A on Windows, and let's either type them in one time or go over here to sync metadata. So sync metadata is going to basically allow you to synchronize the metadata of whichever fields that you choose from here. Let's choose keywords right there. I just want to sync. I'm not syncing anything else. There's all this other copyright data we could save and all. I don't want any of that stuff. All I really want to sync is just the keywords down here at the bottom. I click synchronize. All of a sudden, every one of those photos now has it. So that's one thing that you can do that will also save some time. Another shortcut I want to give you is if you click on a photo and you want to add a keyword, if you press Command-K, it automatically highlights the field over there. You'll notice when I did that here, right there, it highlighted the field, and I'm ready to type. So I can click on a photo, hit Command-K, and just start typing Pews, and then just hit return or enter to lock in that change. Another thing that you'll find helpful is if you click on a photo and you add a keyword. So let's go Command-K for keyword, easy to remember, right? Control-K on Windows, and then we'll add another one. Let's see, we've already got stained glass, we've got pews, we've got, let's say, altar. I see the altar in there. So we'll add this only to the ones where you see the altar, and I think you see the altar in like every single one of these. So we'll put in altar, and now if you hit Command and right arrow, it jumps to the next image, and it already highlights the field so you're ready to go. Just if you want to do a couple different, now if you're going to use the same word again and again and again, you could just now go over here and click Alter. You can see it sitting right there in the suggested keywords. By the way, once you start using a few keywords and you start to type, it does predictive typing. Like it starts to go, oh, well, you're probably typing Boston. So if you were to click on the next one and hit Command K to highlight that field, and you type a B, it types Boston in there for you. It's like, you're going to type Boston, right? It's got that predictive thing. If for whatever reason you don't like that, like, I don't want it suggesting words, then you can actually turn that off. If you go under the Lightroom menu to your catalog settings, click on the metadata tab, and right up here it says offer suggestions from recently entered values. If you turn that off, it will not do that predictive stuff where you're typing and it starts to go, Boston? Is it Boston? Is it Baltimore? It'll stop doing that. So that's where I like that. But if you don't like it, you can certainly turn it off. And that's where you do it under the catalog settings. Click the metadata little tab. It's the very first one, offer suggestions. Turn that off. I don't want to offer suggestions. That's what you turn that off for. Also, when you add a keyword, if you take a look at the thumbnail badge here, it actually shows you there's a keyword, a little tag there that shows this image has been tagged. If you want to see what it's been tagged with, click on that and it will highlight and show you. Not only will it highlight and show you the field of what keywords have been added, it is ready for you to add another one. So if you decided, oh, I want to add another one, I'm going to add the letter red because it's got red carpet, then it's already ready to go. Just hit return or enter and it's now added that to your list. This next thing's kind of interesting and it's kind of fun. I would say that it's probably, while it may not be the absolute most efficient way to add keywords, it certainly is the most fun. Down here at the bottom in your little toolbar, there is a spray paint can, right? If you click on you notice that the can actually has a little tag on it, right? So click the spray paint can, and there's a little pop-up menu of things that you could choose. So you could have it spray paint labels or flags or ratings or metadata, right? But you can have it do keywords. So you type in a keyword over here, and let's say we type in the keyword Massachusetts. Oh, I have to spell Massachusetts now. This isn't good. A-C-H-U-E-T-T-S. Don't spell check me while I go. Don't do it. It'll just make me feel bad. Okay, so let's say that that's how you spell Massachusetts. It may or may not be. When you're done, hit done. So now you've got the spray paint can. When you have the spray paint can, if you click on a photo, it assigns the keyword, which may or may not spell Massachusetts. If you click and drag over multiple photos, it will apply it to multiple photos. Now, you know what's nice once you have that word in there, right? So here's what's nice. Once you've applied a word in there, that kind of sets it as the default keyword. So you could just click on an image, press Shift K, and it will assign whatever your default spray can word is. So you don't have to actually grab the spray can. You can just go click on one, go Shift K, it'll apply that keyword. So that becomes your default keyword, I guess, whatever you've written right beside the spray can. So even if you don't want to use the spray can, it's great to load up a keyword with Shift K. Think about that, Shift K. So Command K highlights the field. On Windows, it would be Control K. That highlights the field to enter it. Shift K applies whatever your default keyword is, and you set that next to the paint can. Another thing that you might want to check out right below here is keyword sets. So check this out. This is pretty interesting. You can create little sets of words that you use a lot. So if you do a lot of wedding photography, you would probably have keywords like, let's go take a look, like bride, groom, candids, wedding party, family, black and white, pre-ceremony, ceremony, reception. These are there all the time. Now, so that way, if you're looking at bridal photos, it's very easy to go, oh, that's the bride, oh, that's the groom. Here's 30 photos of the bride. Select all 30, then click bride. It applies it to all 30 at once. So that's nice. You can create them and save them. You create a set. You can say just save your current settings as a new preset. You can just edit the set. There's a little set editor. You can bring it up and edit the ones that you want. So anytime you want to create a new set or edit it, you do it here. Now, here's the thing that's really the super bonus about this. It actually tags those to a number. So you don't have to keep going over here and going bride, groom, candid. It tags them. You notice there's only 9. Take a look. Look at the set. There's 9. You know why? Because they're the numbers 1 through 9. If you hold down the Option key, you can see pre-ceremony, ceremonies 2, receptions 3. So anytime you want to apply the keyword bride, you know that it's number 7. But you're going to have to press the Option key with it. On Windows, it would be the Alt key. So it's Alt 7 will always add the word bride. Now, if this was a wedding, you took this before the wedding, Option 7 would apply the keyword bride. So Option 8 would apply. Option 8 will apply groom. So there's some really great things to using keyword sets. And by the way, keyword sets are different than the keyword suggestions. Keyword sets are ones that you put together that you want to be able to use on a 1 through 9 basis anytime you want. Keyword suggestions will change as you do different sets. They'll be like, oh, you're not working on Boston anymore, you're working on something else. It'll look at your most recent. And that's what I would call that, is probably keyword suggestions should be really called recent keywords, because it's going to suggest things that it thinks are pretty obvious or that go with what you're doing. So if you type in bride or groom, it's going to start suggesting other words, other keywords you've already created, like wedding and reception and things like that. So it's very, very handy, but it is different than keyword sets. Keyword sets actually have a whole different purpose. You decide in advance right over here from the pop-up menu to create a new set of keywords keywords, go to edit set, and that way you can create your own custom set, have them in there ready for you in your next time you want a keyword. Okay, so that's keyword sets. Another way to add keywords is when you're actually doing an import. When you're first importing photos, and let's say that the photos that you're going to use from your computer or from your hard drive or your memory card, whatever, just go to the import dialog, and then over here you'll notice you have a keywords panel over here on the right. Now you're going to have to enter really, really high level keywords. So like I could enter for that church, I could enter Boston, because every single, should we spell Boston right? I don't know. We already messed up Massachusetts. So every shot there was taken in Boston. Every shot there is of a church. Every shot there is an interior shot. But I might also have exterior shots in that shoot, and I might have a bride and groom or whoever. So you're only going to apply keywords at this level. These are our top level keywords. These are going to be applied where these keywords can fit every single image that you're applying. So just do your high level ones there, hit import, and as they come in, they're automatically going to have those keywords assigned to them. Now, there's a couple of different ways for you, once you've assigned all these different methods of assigning keywords, once you've done all this, how do you use them? Well, one way is there's a keyword list, and it keeps track of all of the stuff that you've used. So if you go in here and, for example, church, for example, if you were to click on it, it shows you there's 16 images, and it just shows you keyword photos that have the keyword church attached to them. So, and it'll show you all the different keywords that they actually do have attached. So you can sort, but that's not a very efficient way to do this. So a more efficient way to do this would actually be to use the find filter. So the first thing that I would do is, the way find works, it's going to check the collection you're in, or it's going to look through all your photos. So let's go and choose over here in the catalog all photographs. So it chooses everything. Then you can go up here under text and just type in what you want. You could say Boston and type in Boston, hit return, and now it only shows you all of the photos in your whole collection that are tagged with the word Boston. Now you can narrow it down by adding multiple keywords. You can say Boston, and the word red was another one. Whoop, I only did it to one photo. Boom, there it is. That's the church in Boston with the one I tagged red for the red pews, the red carpeting. So that's basically it. So that's how it works. The most efficient way is to press Command F on Mac or Control F on Windows. That brings you to this little text field where you can search any field, and I would just leave it set to search any field, but you can say just search keywords if you'd like. And then type in a word, comma, in the next word, and it'll keep narrowing it down until you come to the photo that you're looking for. So that is a kind of a brief, it's not a brief, that's kind of an elongated version of adding keywords. A lot of different ways, a lot of different methods. Choose the one that really suits you best. Let's talk about smart collections. I get a lot of people that ask me about them, and the reason why is because it is an automated way to have a collection that kind of works behind the scenes for you. For example, I could create a collection, right? And let's say that I wanted to put in all the photos from the last 2 years, right, that I took over to Photoshop to edit. So I use, if you look under the Lightroom menu, under Preferences, and you go to External Editing, yes. For my file format, I use PSD. So every time I take a photo to Photoshop and it comes back with edits I did in Photoshop, it's going to be a PSD. Well, I could go through my entire library and just search for PSDs, and I could drag them into a collection, right? But then what if I only wanted my 5-star PSDs? Well, I could probably go up to the library and say, just show me my Photoshop files. Just show me my ones that I put 5-star, right? Things like that. I could put my own criteria in there, and then I could drag them into a collection, right? What if I built a collection that would automatically do that for me? Every time a file came back that was a PSD that I marked as 5 stars, it automatically went in that collection. Completely automated. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to search. It's a living, breathing collection. Now, you can do that for all kinds of ideas. You could say, I want a collection from the last year, only words that are keyword with my daughter's name. So I would have a new collection. I just click on it, and inside is every photo of my daughter taken in the last year. You can come up with smart collection ideas till the cows come home. Let's go ahead and create one, and you'll see what I mean. It'll make more sense. So go to the Collections panel, and let's choose Smart Collection right here, the middle set of the collections here, and then let's say what we want to do. Okay, so first off, I want all of the photos whose capture date, all right, date, or capture date, was in the last 2 years. So is in the last 2 years. There we go. So the capture date is in the last 2 years. But I also want only, well, that'll just give me every photo taken in the last 2 years. Well, that's not a terrible collection to have, but I only want the ones that I went over to Photoshop with. So let's go to, what would it be under? File name. Let's go to file type. The file type is a PSD Photoshop document. That way I know it went to Photoshop. But I don't want just everyone I sent over there. I only want the ones that I finished. So let's get the ones who have a rating that is 5 stars. So only my 5 stars will come over there. And I only want the ones that I shot with a Canon camera, because I shot with my iPhone, I shot with different stuff, but I only want the ones taken with my DSLR. So we're going to go with camera info. Let's go with camera, and the camera contains the word, starts with the word Canon. All right, so this would create a collection that'll go through and look for just those. If I hit create, there it is. These are the images that I took in the last year that are PSDs. You can see that they are PSDs. You can see the name right here. I'll just go to the view here. You can see a little bit better. I'll make them a little larger here so you can see. Yep, PSDs in the last 2 years, taken with a Canon camera. So now, if I were to change the rating of one of these to make it a 4-star or a 3-star, like let's take this first one out of here. I change it to 4 stars. Boom, it's out. It no longer fits the criteria of a 5-star PSD taken in the last 2 years with a Canon camera. That just gives you an idea of the kind of things that you can do to kind of just start getting in this mode of, wow, I can create smart collections for all kinds of stuff. I can create smart collections for any photo that I save as a JPEG. I can do any photo that has the label red for the last 6 months or the last 30 days or anything. You can just create smart collections till the cows come home. That's why they're called smart collections, because they work automated in the background without any input from you once you set them up. And to see them then, you would just go and click on that collection and of course give that collection a good name. My default name was Smart Collection, which is not awesome. I would go right click on the collection and choose rename and give it, 5-star PSDs from last 2 years. There you go, and hit rename, and now I know what that collection is. It has 4 photos in it. That collection will live and grow as I bring more over, give them star ratings and things like that. So that's just an introduction to smart collections. There's not a lot more that you can do than what I showed you, so it's not really an introduction to smart collections. It's really all about smart collections. But you can keep adding more criteria as you go to create as complex and nightmarish of a smart collection as you like. Let's look at working with presets. This is really easy stuff. It's really fun stuff. What presets do, if you're new to presets, they allow you to click just one button and it applies a look to your images. You can create the look, you can download free presets, you can buy presets. There's a whole market about presets, but first let's look at how to build one. So we have an image here on screen. We're in the develop module, so let me just see right here, develop module. And we want to make this into a look. Let's make it a black and white. So let's click on the word black and white, and that looks kind of flat looking. So let's increase the contrast. Let's increase the whites and lower the blacks. Really make it very, very contrasty. Let's add some clarity and maybe pull back the highlights a little bit. So this is not the exact recipe, this is kind of what I'm eyeing for this particular shot. And let's add a bunch of sharpening because we can. Okay, there's just a ton of sharpening, yay. Okay, so if you have a look that you like and you want to be able to repeat that, you don't have to remember exactly what you did, you just want to be able to click once and it happens. Let's go over here to the preset panel and just click right here. Let's go to more presets, that's where we're going to save it. And I'm going to create a brand new preset. It goes in the folder called more preset. You can make your own folders by just choosing new folder. And that's just so you can keep all your custom presets together in one place. We're going to go under the preset name and give it a name. We're going to call this high contrast black and white, B&W. All righty, now it's going to go, which of all of these settings did you use? Well, I didn't use a whole bunch. Let's put check none. I didn't touch the white balance, but I did go and adjust. I didn't do the exposure really. I think I did contrast, highlights, didn't do shadows. I did whites, I did clipping, I did clarity, and I did sharpening, and black and white treatment. Those are the things that I did to get this look. So when I hit create, it's going to apply just those things to any photo that I use. So I hit create, and let's look at a different photo. So here's a color photo. If I want that to have the exact same look as the one that I did earlier, I can just go here and hit high contrast black and white, and boom, it gets that applied to it. So it's just that easy. Now, what if you wanted to bring in a whole bunch of images and have that preset applied to them automatically? What if you wanted to bring in 500 more images that you took in the desert? Well, inside the import dialog box, if you go to the import dialog, right over here, you will see apply during import, and you can actually go and choose under more presets. There's the one we just created, high contrast black and white. It goes right there. And now every image as it comes in will automatically have that preset applied to it. So if that's really what you wanted to do and have them all showing up already black and white, already toned, already ready to go, that's a quick way to do it. Let's just cancel out of that because we're not really going to do an import. But that's how presets work in general. I want to give you a warning about presets. You know how it's one of those little gotchas. So by now you've realized that what happens when you apply a preset is it just moves sliders for you. It remembers where they all were, right? And it puts them in place when you click it. A lot of people ask, well, can I apply multiple presets? Can I click one preset called high contrast black and white and another one called maybe super vibrance or something? Well, maybe. As long as the second preset doesn't move the sliders from the first preset. Because remember, all a preset does is move sliders. So if let's say that you moved a slider called contrast and you saved it as a preset, then you choose another preset that also uses contrast. When you click the second one, it's going to move the first ones. So you can do it, but ideally what you would do is apply a second preset that doesn't mess with the sliders from the first preset. Does that make sense? You apply a preset, it moves a bunch of sliders. If you apply another preset, ideally it would leave all those sliders alone and intact. and just let you apply a different set. So the second one might be lens corrections. Well, if you apply a lens correction preset, it's not going to mess with contrast or highlights or shadows or any of that stuff. It's going to mess with a whole different part of Lightroom's develop module. So just to keep that in mind, can you stack presets? In some times, yes, and it works great as long as it doesn't move the sliders from the first preset. Okay, now a couple more things. What if you downloaded a preset from the web? What if you went to lightroomkillertips.com, which is a website that we produce here at Kelby One, and I write the blog posts for it like every day. It's quite a bit of work. Anyway, and you downloaded a preset from there. Well, all you have to do is download the preset to your computer. Oh, wait, you're a Kelby One member. Go to your members toolkit. I created 10 nice custom presets for you. They are free. It's part of your membership if you're an annual member. So if you're an annual member, go to the Creative Toolkit, look for the Scott's Lightroom presets, and download them for free. Now, how do you get those bad boys into Lightroom? You'll go over to where you want them to be. So let's go to the Develop module. Let's go to the More Presets folder I created, and just right-click. Just right-click anywhere on there for this little pop-up menu, and then you'll see the word Import. This allows you to import presets that you downloaded. So go to, there's one of mine right there. Find the preset, click on Import, and it will add that one right there. And now you've got a new preset right here. When you click on it, it applies that look instead. Now, I did not apply that on top of the black and white. It moved a bunch of those same sliders. Remember we had checked black and white for that photo before? Now it says, oh, undo the check of the black and white. I want it to be color. So it's very interesting the way this all the presets work together. But anyway, now you have this one. Here's another one. And then there's the black and white one. So that's how presets work. You can import them. You can export them. If you create a preset and it's so awesome you want to share it with somebody else, right-click on the preset, and instead of choosing import, choose export. You can save that and share it with your other Lightroom friends. And gosh knows, we all need Lightroom friends. Okay, that is a short, sweet look at working with presets.